This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Jr.
The villain, Marty Scurll.
The Mexican Rey Fenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted wide open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome, everybody, to BWO Live, coming to you from across the BWO universe of Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. This is Busted Wide Open, episode number 328. My name is Nick Howell.
And surprised to find out that in the WWE universe, instead of eating brains and guts, zombies eat ACLs. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Busted Wide Open, episode 328, the last episode before the complete 4-year rehaul that we're doing. It's going to be madness. The next show we have is going to look a little different. I'm looking forward to showing you guys that. Man, Nick has been hard at work.
You've been hard at work.
We've both been hard at work trying to make this into a thing. It's going to be different. It's going to be different.
This is months in the making. I just want you guys to know, right? So you do not want to miss Friday night. Make a way to be there. I promise.
Yes.
Be there for us. Be there for yourselves. It's going to be a good time.
And if you keep an eye on our social medias, there may be a way, wink, wink, you might be able to see it a little early. I'm not going to say any more. Just keep an eye on our social media, which you can find over at linktree.com/BWO. All of our stuff's right there. If you want to get in early on the new redo of BWO, linktree.com/BWO. Check it out. Nick, we have a lot to talk about today. Raw was on last night. The fallout from this last weekend's WrestleMania Backlash. And some interesting booking decisions. I'll leave it at that for now because we'll break it down in a second here. But do we have any more business to do, or did I just kind of do our business for us?
You kind of just did it, and I love you for it. You guys don't have to listen to me rattle off a bunch of stuff. Linktree.com/BWO. There you go.
Yeah, quick shout out to our patrons. As always, patreon.com/BWO. You guys are awesome. You are the grease in our wheels, the wind beneath our wings, the glow on our halos. Thank you very much for supporting our show. You are the reason we are able to keep the lights on, literally at times. And so we very much appreciate you guys. If you're not a patron yet, you can head on over there, patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of our awesome reward tiers. That is the best way to support the show. And you get bonus episodes. You can get questions that you can have answered on the mailbag episode, which is coming up, coincidentally, right after this very show. Once this wraps up here in a little bit, we're going to go over and answer questions from our patrons on the Patron Mailbag Show right here live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, etc. So if you guys are catching us after the fact and you're watching this on a VOD, well, you can watch us live every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's where this show starts, and right after that, it's the mailbag. Friday nights after SmackDown's done, about 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. Yeah. So that's when all of our live shows go. Plus, we also do recaps after the major pay-per-views, which means not this weekend, but the weekend after. Double or Nothing, Nick.
And then Double or Nothing for AEW. And then 2 weeks after that, we've got NXT. Is it In Your House?
Yep. Yeah. And then 2 weeks after that, we got Hell in a Cell.
What?
Mother of Buddha.
Oh, God.
I think it's 2 weeks after that.
Hell in a Cell in June. I can't get my head around that yet.
It's weird. It's weird. And there's nothing going on Raw that lets me know what their plans are for that. If they even have any, it's WWE. Plans change up to the last minute. We actually found out this week that their main event of Backlash, Roman and Cesaro, was made the main event less than an hour and a half before showtime. They didn't know if it was going to be the triple threat or Roman and Cesaro as the main event until right before showtime. Something we talked about on our recap show of that pay-per-view, Nick, was which one should have been the main event. We agreed they made the right decision. Roman and Cesaro was the better main event to finish to close the show.
True.
That was the right call. However, it came down to the wire right and Raw again this week, hour and a half before. They still didn't have a finalized script. So Nick, let's kick it over.
Pay-per-view.
Well, before pay-per-view, yeah, but then also for the Raw afterwards. It's not uncommon. That's the thing. It happens quite a bit. But let's see what we thought of what they ultimately came up with, and let's go discuss Monday Night Raw.
Well, we opened the show with Bobby Lashley, and dare I say his ladies in waiting. Now, in 1998, I would have said something completely different. I would have climbed aboard a train. If you know what I'm getting, you know.
All aboard that train. However, here's the thing. So when Godfather was doing that gimmick, he was actually, in real life, he was actually a dude who worked at strip clubs. He knew all the strip clubs in any town he was going to, and the Ho Train was made up of local strippers, usually. In this case, I'm not sure where they got the lovely ladies that they had brought out for Bobby Lashley to cheer him on. They had 5 women come out with Lashley and MVP. And Nick, I think much like with Godfather, they relied on MVP to find these women, because these women were absolutely MVP's taste and not Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn's taste.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. They found some beautiful women who had styles of a type that you don't normally see on WWE TV, and I found that wonderful and refreshing.
Same.
Now, our very own JB, correspondent for the show, sometimes host, weighed in on this. I actually heard from her, got a text from her, that she did not appreciate the continued trophiness of women. She didn't like the fact that they were there as like prizes for the victor, so she's weighing in by saying that, as someone who's seen enough combat sports in WWE to know that this is a trope that's not going away anytime soon.
Yep.
Unfortunately, but at the same time, taking it for what it was, there it was. He's bringing out women to celebrate Bobby Lashley's victory at Backlash. I have to, at the very least, appreciate they didn't just go for blonde centerfolds, the kind of which that Vince and Kevin Dunn have notoriously been fans of over the years.
Right.
So at least there's some movement in the right direction for body positivity and showing a variety of different kinds of people on your television set in Monday Night Raw. Yeah. But that aside, Nick, that was not the point. The point was Bobby Lashley won at WrestleMania Backlash, and we're here to celebrate it. MVP says Lashley wants to celebrate by holding an open challenge. What? A true fighting champion? Nick, I wanted you to weigh in on this because you have recently said you don't like Lashley coming out and having matches every week. You think it demeans the fact that he's the champion. Here, he's throwing out an open challenge, and the whole show, people are weighing it like, maybe I'll come out and challenge him. Sheamus said he might do it. T-Bar and Mace said they might do it. You had Shelton Benjamin say he might do it. You had a bunch of people throwing their hats in the possible ring, including Drew McIntyre right off the bat saying, I'm in, and MVP and Lashley saying, nope, you're back of the line, Drew. You can't do it anymore. You had your chance. You lost last night. Tough shit, pal. But here we have a champ who ultimately at the end of the night gets challenged by, of all people, Kofi Kingston.
Love it.
As a match with Kofi Kingston.
Didn't see it coming from anywhere. I absolutely love this.
Random, especially because Kofi wrestled elsewhere in the night. We'll talk about that too. But what did you think, Nick, about Lashley being a fighting champion? Now, granted, the twist was MVP said this is not for the championship. After Kofi came out, we at no time said it was for the championship, sucker. But what do you think about the idea of Lashley being present, being a champion, being someone who's there fighting every night?
It's a very face thing to do.
You think so?
I think so. And I got this frog in my throat that I just can't seem to get rid of. And I'm going to evict his ass before the night's over. I can see Drew McIntyre doing this. John Cena, you want some, come get some. Like, okay. It all kind of makes sense when they want to stand up there and go, what? I never see, normally when you have heels, they're not willing to put the title in danger. They're doing scurrilous things to make sure that they retain it. And that's why I say that. It's kind of bizarro world if a heel champ is coming out and doing open challenges.
But do you think it works for Lashley's character where he says, I want to fight somebody, but then it's a bait and switch. They have someone come out so Lashley can kill him, but it's not for the title in case something happens, which it did. With you had Drew McIntyre coming out at the end of this match, grabbing the cane from MVP when Lashley went for him. Yeah, he just in a puff of
wild
Scottish
Drew
mist.
McIntyre appears.
Yes, suddenly I'm here. Couldn't have seen me coming. I was hiding in the heather. He shows up, whacks Lashley with MVP's cane. Kofi Kingston gets a roll-up and wins, beats Bobby Lashley. So probably a good thing that Lashley didn't have the title on the line, and then Drew and Kofi and Woods celebrate on the way out. But here's the thing. You've got two heel champions on Raw, Nick, now holding open challenges. Sheamus is doing it. Lashley's doing it. But they're both doing it with the caveat is you can have a match with the champ, but it ain't for the champ's belt, which I think is heelish. It's a heelish way to be like, it's two heels that they're building as strong, powerful, scary dudes who don't mind getting in fights, but they're also, with MVP being a quote-unquote good business manager and with Sheamus just being, wily and a dick, to me, it works. So do you think that having Lashley do an open challenge, as you say, it feels like a very face thing. Are they making it heel enough to where it's something that you can accept seeing week in, week out?
It's going to get old real quick if every time they do an open challenge, they're like, but not for the title.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't pull that trick too many times.
I just don't think that's why it works with heels. I mean, sure, you can get out there and you can be so egotistical and so arrogant that you think that there's no way that anybody could possibly beat this, and that ultimately becomes your undoing. That's a good story. So if they are going to do it, spin it that way. Especially with someone like Kofi, who's like a quarter of his size, if that. It's the size of one of his legs.
But is great at playing the underdog babyface.
Absolutely. And Kofi got his shit in here, man. He was hitting all of his stuff.
And Lashley still looked like a dominant
where he
champ.
draped him over the ropes and jumped off the ring post and DDT'd him onto the apron.
Yep.
Like, good. That was beautiful with Xavier out there tromboning him to death. That was beautiful. I loved this match. I loved the sequence of it. I think it was executed brilliantly.
Well-built match.
Yep.
For sure.
I don't want my heels out there doing open challenges, though, frankly.
Really?
Yeah. I want them to be I want them to be put into situations where they have to defend it.
See, I like having strong champions. Even if they're heels, especially if they're heels. No, I like having strong heels. I like monster heels. I love a good monster heel. This is a situation like with Sheamus where he's like, I'm not going to put the title on the line, but if you beat me, we'll talk about you getting a championship match. And you have Adam Pearce backstage, who would be willing to say, yeah, he beat you, Sheamus. He gets a title shot. So it actually, and the Sheamus could bitch and cry and complain about it, but he got himself into his own situation that further down that road, right? So I like this. I like having strong monster heels. You know me. I'm always about chasing the dragon in the sense that you have to have a face who is an underdog to a monster. I love it when they're going up against someone who you've built up as being an unstoppable force or a complete monster like Bobby Lashley.
Right.
That is my kind of jam. I don't mind when you have a chicken shit heel. That's fine. That's its own whole performance style. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
But I absolutely adore when you have a big, strong monster champ heel who, you have to have a face who's got to go through fire to beat him. And so one of the ways to show that heel is truly a monster is to have him do stuff like Lashley did tonight. Now, that being said, he did lose. He lost to interference. It's an unfortunate trope with WWE. You can't have a clean finish to a match in the main event of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, like 5 of them last night.
But at least in this case, Lashley kept looking strong. He just got, quote unquote, outwitted by the babyface, in this case, Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston. Great. You had to outwit the dragon to beat him. I dig that too. I dig the fact that MVP is the brains of the outfit. He's making sure that, the dragon's not vulnerable. He's the scales of the armor of the dragon. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying.
But will he ultimately be the chink in the armor?
That would be a lovely twist, wouldn't it? That would be a lovely twist. Yeah. So my point is that I like this. I like open challenges. But you made a good point, Nick. It'll get old real quick. You can't do it for long. At least not with the way that Lashley's positioned right now, and not with Hell in a Cell coming up, because at some point you're gonna have to like get on that trip to who Lashley's facing at Hell in a Cell if it's gonna be in the cell. I don't want them to arbitrarily say Drew McIntyre and Lashley in a cell, because that's what they've been doing the last few years at Hell in a Cell. It just becomes arbitrarily a cell match.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be a reason for it.
There's no real stakes there. It's, let's have a Hell in a Cell match because it's Hell in a Cell.
Right. That's been the big complaint. It's become a gimmick pay-per-view.
Are we going to call it WrestleMania Hell in a Cell this year?
Oh, stop. Don't give them any ideas. Oh. Goodness gracious. Great Hells in a Cell of fire. I can already see it's, we want them to have a reason to have a match in a cell. I can already see it's not happening. Like, there's no feuds that are anywhere near being hot enough to need a cell at their next stage of their what are we going to do magically in 4 weeks from now to warrant the legendary Hell in a Cell match? Can we still call it legendary? Or has it been too diluted at this point?
Sure, in modern times, but I mean, it's still legendary, right? You still see that cage. I hate that it's painted red now. It takes away from that. But I just,
it's made
I
of
want
Twizzlers.
To love it. I want it to still be the career-ending, life-changing. Once you go in, you don't come out the same. I want that, but it's just not that anymore.
As opposed to people fighting in a giant red hot.
Right. Yeah.
No, I get it. But Kofi was not done with Lashley. He also had a match with Randy Orton. Earlier in the night, poor Matt Riddle tricked New Day and Randy Orton into being at the same place at the same time and tried to play peacekeeper, saying, come on, guys, can't we all just get along? Randy, it'd be really cool if you apologize to Kofi. And Randy goes, I'm not going to apologize to him because I'm not sorry. And Kofi said, well, I would not have accepted your apology anyway because I've known you for 11 years. We've had a feud for 11 years. We're one of the oldest tenured ongoing feuds in WWE, longer arguably even than Daniel Bryan and The Miz. That's still going on. I love that they still reference this feud. It's just they bring it up whenever they're around together. It's a fight forever feud, and I freaking love that they allow it to be that. So that all falls apart real quickly. And ultimately, Randy and Kofi challenge each other to a match, which we have later, and Riddle is very dejected as a result. So Kofi started off this night. He beat Randy Orton, thanks to Xavier Woods distracting Randy on the outside. Because, Nick, it is a thing. Vipers are distracted by pipes. And technically a trombone, although a brass instrument, is similar to a pipe. Exactly.
It's
Snake Charmer.
Yeah.
It's Snake Charmer.
Yeah.
And Randy's like, what's going on? I said, what? I can't tear my ears off with this wonderful sound. And then Kofi ended up rolling him up, and that was it. And then Matt Riddle got in afterwards. Randy was pissed. Kofi and Woods were celebrating. Riddle tried to calm them all down. Randy stalked off.
Randy almost RKO'd Riddle.
He almost RKO'd Riddle. He almost did, but he didn't. He held himself back. And Riddle Xavier tried to grab his arm as he went to leave. He pushed Xavier down to the ground and then ran off after Randy. Ooh. Oh my! As the RKO bro turns,
is Riddle hearing the voices in his head?
This was my question. So, Nick, I think you and I agree. RK Bro is consistently the best thing on Raw. It was up
for
there
about
this
2
week.
weeks. Sure.
It's still really good.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of fun. I'm always curious what's going to happen next. Riddle's playing his kind of hapless, trying to make everyone happy.
He's just excited to have a friend.
He's just excited in general.
That's not a scooter.
The amount of jokes that fly around with these guys are fantastic. The fact that even Corey's getting in on it was like, I would trust Matt Riddle's opinion on one thing only. And I was like, and what would that be, Corey? And Corey's like, I can't say it on TV. Why would you call me out on that, you weird little man?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So,
come on over to RJ Reynolds Marijuana Farms, where you can buy any weed at your choice.
The marijuana. I have never smoked the marijuana in my entire life.
I did not inhale.
I looked very hard at a joint one time. It scared me half to death. What was the pun that Kofi used? Like just one off on Randy Orton. It was.
Oh God, I probably missed that.
Oh man. Oh,
I might not have seen
damn.
it either. I watched the Hulu version, which I only watched like half the show last
Oh,
night.
that's a pity. Kofi whipped out this fantastic double entendre, and I didn't write it down like an idiot, but it was so great. It was electile dysfunction or something. Reptile dysfunction. Reptile dysfunction. What is it? Some sort of reptile dysfunction? Oh no,
Nice.
Kofi, no, and it was just it just dipped in there.
Oof.
So yeah, a lot of fun stuff with this. But as you said, the real crux here is what's their plans with RK Bro? Is Riddle going to turn to the dark side? Is there going to be sort of thing where at some point Riddle has to choose between the darkness and the light, and ultimately we get a Randy Orton versus Riddle feud? What would be the best possible outcome here?
I do think it ultimately turns into Riddle versus Orton, and I love that. I think it's brilliant. How do we get there? I don't know. It's a shame that they're putting Riddle. I think it's. Well, let me rephrase that. I think it's brilliant that they're putting Riddle in between New Day and Orton. Think about that for a second. You're basically new to the roster, less than a year, and you're being put with the all-time winningest tag team and the 14-time world champion Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, to be clear, on Riddle's debut, he beat AJ Styles.
Every dog has his day, right? Sun even shines on a dog's ass from time to time.
I'm just saying, everything's been coming up Riddle for a while now.
It has. So
you know what
people
I mean?
in the back
Even
are
with
loving
this-
some Riddle, and I think to me, looking at it from the outside in, it looks like somebody really likes Riddle back there, putting him
Even
with
when-
who
yeah.
he's putting him with.
Even when he boofed his promo backstage with Asuka, and he was like, I totally forgot what I was saying, bro. And just
Yeah.
like apparently guys in the back
And Asuka
love
just
that. Oh, okay, whatever. Everyone in the back loved that apparently.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah. Apparently, yeah. Riddle is doing pretty well, which considering that he's got some legal problems going on, that could have brought him down. Yeah, it's a good sign. So whether this ends up being Randy and Riddle kind of turns dark, or the New Day tries to redeem him, whatever, I'm in. That's interesting stuff. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
At least not done this way, where Riddle truly does feel like somewhat of an innocent
Conflicted.
in this scenario. Yeah, truly conflicted. Like the characters are right for this. They're doing it well. Love it all around.
It also plays into that childhood trope of, you have different friends in different groups that won't run together, and you're kind of pulled between them, like you have to choose one. I get it.
It's very universal.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, what a night for Kofi. Do you think, just as we head on to the next thing here, do you think Kofi winning both, as we said, Raw was written very close to Showtime? Do you think Kofi being in both of those slots, like Kofi is the guy to come out to face Lashley, was that a last-minute hot shot thing, or was that figured out early? Just a wild speculation. What do you think?
Probably a last-minute hot shot thing.
That's what it felt like to me.
Who do we
too.
have on the roster that's a former champion that hasn't fought Lashley yet?
Right, that we could do this
Right.
with. And it makes sense. I mean, and who's a face? Who's a baby face? Who would Drew come out to help?
That's a good
Right,
point.
that's more.
Yeah,
that's
that's
more
a good
the
point.
case.
That's a good
Who
point.
would Drew come out to help?
Andy Jessup threw in 100 bits, said Drew
Thank you,
is
sir.
fast becoming a Gollum parody. He's become obsessed and unhinged about not having his precious, the WWE Championship.
If Gollum ate a lot of steaks
Right.
and grew some hair, and
Even
was
Smeagol,
about
before he
70
turned
feet
into Gollum, wasn't this jacked, right?
no, he was a proto hobbit.
Right.
If you want to get really technically, they weren't hobbits. They were a related species. Because it was so long in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I can see what you're saying, Andy, with Drew being obsessed, but when has that not been the case with a top babyface or a champ in WWE? They're obsessed with being champion. Hulk Hogan, obsessed with being champion. Stone Cold, obsessed with being champion. John Cena, obsessed with being champion. They all were.
Yeah.
That's how they book them. And you know what?
Literally every person in wrestling is there to fight for a championship.
I disagree with that. I don't think everyone should be there to fight for a championship because you have limited championships. Some people are there to settle personal beefs. And there's other things, right? Like the drama that's going on with RK Bro and New Day. We don't need titles in that. That's an interesting, as you say, it's about friends fighting. Like one guy who has two friend groups and he's trying to get them all to get along.
Yeah.
Right. That's an interesting side. You don't need a title in that. There's other stuff we'll talk about on the show. Doesn't need a title involved.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's involved or not, doesn't need it. But anytime that you have someone who's in the championship picture, they should be obsessed with that title, because in real life, people who are winners, people who are successful, are obsessed with that one thing that they need to achieve.
Yeah.
That's how they achieve it.
Yep.
Right. If you become obsessed with acquiring something, it tends to work out. So that's where Drew's at, and I like that. I like that Drew's obsessed with that championship.
Well, Eddie threw another 100 bits in, said they need the story of the past 7 years of Drew in the ring. Have him fight jobbers, mid-card, upper mid-card. Have him lose 1-2 to keep him grounded. Have him discover himself to realize how to beat Bobby. So he needs a montage, is basically what you're saying, Andy.
We need a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage.
There you go. Little Tenacious D is always good. Also, I see Kyle threw in 100 bits here. He said, one thing I want to point out here that kind of extends to Backlash with Cesaro. Having a guy like Kofi as a former champ is great for moments like this when you need to shake up the main event scene. Sometimes it's great to have former champs who aren't the guy to make sure the guy stays fresh. I saw a lot of people sour on Drew challenging again. Nick, and that speaks to what you're just saying right now, where you're like, really? Drew again?
Yeah, it's getting a little tired. But I liked what they did with Drew tonight at the end, where he was the one that ultimately came in and was the foil. So he is the last person I wanted to see come out at the top of the show when they were announcing the open challenge. And MVP didn't even get the sentence out of his mouth before we start hearing bagpipes playing.
Of course.
And I was like, part of me did kind of go,
But that is actually a WWE booking trope, in a sense, is when you have someone who's in that title picture, they always have to be a part of it. Charlotte Flair, right? It's the same kind of thing. And unfortunately, WWE has that problem of running things into the ground over and over and over. We love Drew. We want to see him do well. We want to see him be champion again. Unfortunately, I do worry, Nick, that by the time that we get there, we'll all be kind of burned out on his quote-unquote journey back to the top, because having him always in the picture doesn't make it a journey.
Yeah.
It makes him just kind of circling the airport until he lands. Right. That's different. We're not getting to travel across the country to get to the other airport. We're just getting the circling the airport. We know you're going to land at some point. Just a matter of time.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle. Andy threw another 100 bits in, said now open challenges is the new booking crutch for WWE Creative. Get ready for another year of this.
I'm okay with that.
I like open challenges. I'm good with that.
As long as it's not heels right now.
If that's, well, I mean, fine. we don't need to dredge all that back up again.
But here's the thing. You were about to say you having open challenges because it does feel fresh at this point. And it's one of the things I feel can be fresh too, because you never know who's coming out.
Yeah.
Open challenges tend to be interesting.
It's an opportunity for anybody. It's an opportunity for creative to debut a new star, bring up somebody from the main from NXT. Like it's more than just about who the person is challenging or the fact that the champion is doing an open challenge. If you think about it from a larger meta perspective, there's so many other things you can do because you have a champion that's out there doing open challenges. That's what I really like about it. I want Bronson Reed to roll out one night. One of these, Sheamus comes out and goes, "I'll give you an open challenge for the United States."
For me gold,
right?
Yeah.
And Bronson Reed, just big boy, thick boy, comes rolling out. You're like, "Oh shit!" And just we lose our minds, right?
Right.
That's what I want. Fun. That's what I love about open challenges.
That sounds fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I prefer that to rematch after rematch after rematch.
Or I don't know, Kevin Owens coming out and beating John Cena as the NXT champion.
That's one of the greatest open challenge moments.
One of my favorite moments in recent memories.
That's one of the best. Yep. So if we have more of those would be nice.
Yes, please.
Speaking of championship pictures, Rhea Ripley is your Raw Women's Champion. She defended her title and won last night at Backlash, pinning Asuka in a triple threat with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte was not in the ring for that, a fact which she brought up to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville after sending some of the women's tag division scuttling off. You had three blondes and a Naomi back in Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville's office, all asking for...
That's a T-shirt.
Their title
That's
shot.
A T-shirt. Or a faction name.
Yeah, right. Not anytime soon. They don't seem to like each other in this backstage bit. But Charlotte sent them all scuttling away. and demanded her rematch for the title because she wasn't pinned. And Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville agreed that the most fair
Speaking of
thing would be for her
WWE
to-
tropes, by the way.
You think?
Let's just beat that one into the ground.
Right. So in comes Rhea to say, you know what, you should face Asuka to face me again. So Charlotte has to face Asuka tonight.
Okay.
All right. And Rhea's going to be ringside. All right. Seen it before. Going to see it again. Charlotte and Asuka go out there, have a very good match. A very good match. But you know, at some point, it's WWE Raw, there's going to be some sort of squirrely finish to keep one person protected and the other person to not get a completely clean win. And sure enough, that's what happened. Rhea and Charlotte got into it after I got a 10, 12-minute good match. And then Rhea goes and gets involved. Charlotte tries to give her a big boot outside the ring. Asuka then comes back in and gets a small package on Charlotte. What a shot.
It was a nice small package, though, halfway through setting up a figure four. I like the way it was executed.
Well, I like the fact that she started for a small package, and then it was a reversal. Charlotte tried to turn it into a figure four, and then she reversed that into a schoolboy, and then 1, 2, 3. It was nice. So it wasn't.
I ain't
just
even
straight
mad
up.
at that.
It was a straight up roll up off the rope.
The fact that it was the fourth or fifth distraction finish of the night is what I take issue with, but we won't go there.
Exactly. It's yet another one. And yes, you're giving Asuka her win back, 50-50 booking, but it wasn't a completely clean win.
If we're gonna do the whole setup backstage with all of the ladies there and Charlotte saying, I'm just gonna go dispose of Asuka, and you're gonna end that one with a roll up finish and a distraction, and then you're gonna have Kofi in the main event rolling up Bobby Lashley off of a distraction. Don't do it in 2 or 3 other places too. Make them special. They work when they're good and they're executed properly, like in those 2 instances.
Have you seen the creative board at AEW? They have like a creative blackboard or dry erase board backstage where they have all the matches and they say like, what's the finish? You know, what are the big spots so that people don't double those up.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think maybe they need it in WWE as well, is don't double up finishes. Don't have multiple distraction finishes. Find another way. You know what I mean? It's wrestling. There's so many ways to finish a match that doesn't involve having one person get distracted. Randy got distracted. Lashley got distracted in his match twice. But once by the same thing that cost Randy his match. And then Drew came out and bonked him with the cane. So, yeah, it's a lot of distractions. And people are always distracted.
That's the stuff that you get from writing the show an hour and a half before it goes on. It's lazy, and you're like, just have Rhea come out to the ring and she'll yeah.
Sure. It's an easy way out.
Yeah.
It's an easy way out. But let's talk about the aftermath here. Charlotte lost her number 1 contendership challenge. This kind of indicates that Asuka gets another title shot at Rhea, which kind of spinning the wheels. Does that Charlotte come out and interfere in that?
I like the fire that we had between Rhea and Charlotte in that segment backstage. So after they excused the 3 blondes and Naomi, Charlotte was saying how she was going to have that. Rhea comes in, and there was some real fire chemistry there between those two. I absolutely want to see them go head to head again.
All 3 of these women have chemistry together. It's just we've seen pretty much all the iterations that they're not finding new iterations of how they're interacting.
No,
at this point. And
I think we're all chomping at the bit to get Rhea Charlotte 2.0 again, though.
I think we are, but at the same time, what's the outcome? What does Charlotte do after? What does she do now that she doesn't have the number 1 contendership? She's obviously she's going to get it back at some point. It's Charlotte. We're ultimately going to get Rhea and Charlotte probably at SummerSlam. I'm imagining, if not before, at Money in the Bank. How does this play out? Where does Asuka stay the 5th wheel? How does this play out? And I'm worried because it is such a microcosm. It's so small. I would love to see all these women working together is a good time as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're going to put on good matches, but there's got to be, at least this match had stakes with the number 1 contendership on there. But Rhea's talking about getting fresh challenges, right? Let's see some fresh challengers and have Charlotte and Asuka have to fight their way back up to Rhea.
Yeah.
Separate them for a week or 2 and then bring them back together. Just let it breathe, for God's sake.
I'm in. New challengers now, please.
So Nick, what was up with the blackouts during this match? There was just times where the screen just went to black.
I have no idea.
Well, from what I understand, Charlotte was having consistent problems staying in her top.
Interesting.
Which is kind of ironic. It's very ironic. She's dressed like Cruella DeVille, and she can't even keep a hold of her puppies. And on that note, moving over to the rest of the
I'm still trying to find that stinger button of the king. Before we move on, let me do a couple of call-outs real quick to catch up.
Yeah, let's call it up.
Kyle Cotton threw in 100 bits, said, me and Andy were having a discussion in Discord about the subtle storytelling Charlotte is doing with her gear and the Queen of Hearts from Alice and now Cruella. Rhea basically putting on this, I've done this with you a year ago and I'm not letting you tear me down again attitude to Charlotte.
Yes.
It feels unintentional because it's hard to give Raw credit on subtle storytelling, but it seems like we're slowly driving Charlotte to the Mad Queen with her usurper driving her to it because of Mania 36.
They've already started calling her the Mad Queen. I think Corey or Adnan called her that at one point on the show tonight.
And she even walked into camera in that backstage segment with her back facing it, and it has Queen written across the hood thing before she flipped it down. So yeah, you're onto something there. That's yeah. It'll be good to see.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before she becomes Maleficent. If she's going to keep being evil Disney people, evil Disney queens, I guess, evil Disney queens.
I dig it though. I like the gear.
Oh, I'm down, totally down with that. That's fine.
Yep.
Bring it on.
He kept going with another 100 bits. Thank you, sir. It took 200 bits to get this one out. It says, in having the contrast between Rhea and the rest of the roster, we've talked about things being unfocused, but tonight things kind of clicked because of the talent and history, not the writing. Yeah, these three ladies, you can just say, go do your thing to. And they're good enough to go do their thing, and
Look
it's going to be
at that
awesome.
match they had Sunday. That match they had Sunday was awesome. Awesome. I still can't get over the last 2 minutes of that match. It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Yep.
Some of the best women's wrestling we've seen on the main roster. Yep. I'll stand by that. It's incredible.
Indeed. Thank you, Kyle.
So yeah, I mean, yes. Is it becoming redundant? Yes. With these three women, am I fine with that because of the talent involved? You know what? I'm not fine with it, but at least I can live because it's going to be these three.
I'm not eye-rolling at it. It is what it is, and I got mad respect for all three of them.
Now, the question is, Nick, were you eye-rolling at the women's tag scene? Because Natalya and Tamina had a rematch with Shayna and Nia Jax. However, they did have to go and have a little segment on Alexa's playground. Before that, Alexa was being totally weird and talking about pulling the wings off of flies and smushing their little guts in her hand. Tamina and Natalya were sitting there getting weirded out until they finally just left in the middle of one of Alexa's rants. First, before we talk about the match with Shayna and Nia, what did you think about this segment? Was Tamina's facials, were they giving you life like they were giving me life? Because I was loving it.
It wasn't on the Hulu edition, so I'm going to lean on you to tell this.
Oh, Nick, you naughty boy.
No, it's not about naughty. It's the interesting kind of contrast here is I view that as what they care about their audience seeing. So I interpret that as they didn't really, it was unnecessary.
Which kind of underscores our point last week about them making a pseudo big deal about Tamina and Natalya winning, but them not really thinking it's that big of a deal in the larger picture.
On SmackDown.
Right. But again, with this segment, it was kind of a little bit of nothing. It made me miss The Fiend. But at the same time, I like Natalya and Tamina as champs. They look good with belts. And again, in this segment, Tamina was again stealing the damn scene because her reaction to Alexa Bliss's existence was just classic, Nick. You do have to go back and do it.
I'll check it out.
Just for her facial expressions. It was awesome. And it was so awkward and so uncomfortable. It was actually pretty good. But as I said, it did still make me miss The Fiend because we could have The Fiend and instead we're having this Alexa stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Alexa came out again. We weren't too far into the Shayna and Nia rematch. When Alexa comes out to the top of the ramp and starts giggling, they all get weirded out, but they keep going in the match until Reginald looks like he's about to get involved. And Kane, from a faraway distance, blew up one of the ring posts.
Hey now.
Causing Reginald to go flying off the stairs into the wall and clutching at his eyes.
So Glenn Jacobs has hung up the mask. That was not Kane.
He has. I know that. It was a joke because it was the same kind of pyro.
He may be filing a trademark infringement very soon to Lily or Alexa Bliss.
Right. It's a matter of it's a size thing, Nick. You see, Kane is a 300-pound monster, and Alexa Bliss is about 1/4 of his size. Yeah. So therefore, she has about 1/4 of his power. So she's not able to blow up all 4 ring posts, just one at a time. That's all she can manage at a time. So it's fine. It works in case.
Reginald sold it like somebody hit him in the chest with both barrels of a 12 gauge.
Oh yeah,
He just went
The
like
dude's a
flying
seller.
off the ring steps and just.
He's a selling machine.
Yeah.
And Shayna was worried. She ends up getting rolled up because distraction finish. Yay! Monday Night
That's
Raw.
5.
So now we've pinned both Nia and Shayna for title shots, and so they're who knows what they're up to. Alexa Bliss, we thought she was going to be going for Charlotte. We thought that's who she was targeting. She said she was going after someone who was wearing red. Both Nia and Reginald wearing a nice dark rich maroon on this episode of Raw. Does that mean that Alexa is targeting Nia Jax? And if so, what the hell is up with that? Do they still think that Alexa is a face backstage? They thought Bray was a face, even though he was kind of not. Is Alexa being considered a face? Is she going to have is she going after Nia? What's going on here, Nick?
I don't know how you could call her a face after whatever the hell that was at WrestleMania. Sitting on top of a pentagram with black goo coming out of your thorny crown. Like that.
I mean, Undertaker was an undead wizard who was a face for a while there.
I mean,
just saying.
Is she going to set Nia Jax on fire in an Inferno match?
Nick, stop touching yourself while you say that. It's weird. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Nick. I'll make you a deal. Everyone, stop, drop, and listen to this. I will make you a deal, Nick.
Oh boy.
If Alexa Bliss, this is a very specific caveat.
Okay.
If Alexa Bliss sets fire to Nia Jax in an Inferno match, you may take your Nia Jax stand up outside and burn it.
Ah!
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I'm in.
You still have to keep the shirt, but the Nia Jax stand up, you can burn it if Alexa Bliss burns Nia Jax in an Inferno.
I like the shirt. It's a nice piece of merch. I like purple too. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are not like most girls.
I'm not.
So it's actually very appropriate for you. So Natty and Tamina are your champs. One last thing before we move on to all the rest. Natty and Tamina are your champs. Do you think that they're going to get as much screen time as Nia and Shayna did? Every show, 2 times a week, Nia and Shayna. Are we going to get Natty and Tamina that much, do you think? Or is this just a honeymoon period and they're going to go bye-bye?
Maybe a combination of both. Maybe for a few weeks. And is this their farewell tour? Are they going to keep working long term? Natty, maybe. I don't see Tamina working much longer. So I don't know what they're up to.
Yeah, one of her last big run. It's probably her last big run, let's be clear.
It's probably one of the reasons it was I don't want to say it was unwarranted or unearned, but it's probably a little bit of a thank you for your service.
Well, but you know what? Here's the thing, is kind of like Randy Orton last year, Tamina is locked in right now on what she needs to be doing.
She's found her look, she's found her gear, she's like all of it. It works.
She's found her timing, she's found her everything is locked in and working for Tamina right now. That's pretty cool to see. I got to say. It's always cool to see someone who's locked in.
I agree.
So
Cal throwing 100 bits said it's weird that I actually loved Tamina no selling Alexa and just Alexa being this weird girl. In a vacuum, it's entertaining, but like we saw later, Alexa being involved in anything story-wise is just a bad idea. Although she did almost kill Reggie, so that was a positive.
Yeah, right?
Let's look at the Nia down there sitting next to him after the match crying.
Yeah. Everyone's all weirded out. Everyone's all weirded out because there's like that stupid Lily laugh, which is nowhere near as intimidating as the Fiend laugh.
No.
Well, I miss the Fiend.
Yep.
I like aspects of this, but ultimately all that's making me do is go, oh,
somebody
man.
check in. Is JoJo having another baby? Where is Bray Wyatt?
Yes, I think she is.
Okay. Well,
I believe she is.
If that's the case, congrats to them, and I'm not going to say anything else. But dear God, please bring Bray Wyatt back.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the first kid's name Nash, like Kanash, Knash.
Knash.
I think the next one's going to be named Bebop. The third one will be Rocksteady. So it'll be a whole bunch of them. So all the rest of the things that happen on Raw. Damian Priest. They were saying after this match, it was putting to bed this feud. Damian Priest had a match with Johnny Drip Drip, the Monday Night Delight, John Morrison, in a lumberjack match.
Query, if I may. Was he not consumed by zombies, ergo should he not be a zombie?
Nick?
You are the master of horror.
Hey,
you love zombies, and you understand them better than anybody I know. Should John Morrison not be a zombie?
Did you see him get bitten? Or did you see him die?
I did not.
You did not. You saw him get pulled down behind a barricade. That's all you saw.
Okay, Fine.
If you ever watched
The Miz,
Walking
on the other
Dead,
hand, he got his ass eaten.
Oh, Miz got eaten.
Yeah.
Miz dead. Miz was consumed in the middle of the ring, screaming "choke on him" as the zombies ate his guts. So no, Miz dead, but that's obviously like it actually kind of worked out because Miz did for one of the first times in his career get a legit injury.
Yeah.
Damian Priest landed on his leg, messed up his ACL. We're being told 9 months for the Miz. 9 months he go bye-bye. You know what? He's got 2 kids. Young kids.
He's got a very successful show. They can go film a new season, make it about his recovery, all that. Yeah.
And let's be clear. He's dead.
Yeah.
He got eaten by
he
zombies.
doesn't care about his ACL being torn.
No, well, no, because he's dead. In kayfabe, Miz could be dead, or he's somewhere getting the cure to the zombie virus, or whatever. So he's gone. And I think it kind of works. He's injured because unlike if you bury AJ alive and he shows up the next night on Raw and we all kind of roll our eyes and go, well, that's stupid.
Right.
Having Miz come back on this show and be like, just kidding, would have made people even more mad at that match. And let's be clear, Nick, our final take on that match was, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm speaking out of turn for you here, our final take on that match was we don't mind zombies in theory in our wrestling because we're pretty much open, like Undertaker, undead zombie wizard. Fine. That's fine. The Fiend, supernatural, otherworldly being brought out from Bray Wyatt's hate and festering longing to win a match. Like, we're fine with supernatural shit in our wrestling. Yeah. Zombies are fine. And they didn't go half-ass. They went full ass on this. They went 3 cheeks in on these zombies.
Okay, Mephisto.
You know, they're in on this. In that match, like they went cool. They created the whole world, everything. They actually had Miz get eaten and die. So if they had not had Miz come out this week, it would have undercut that and it would have pissed us off.
Yeah.
Right? Because our big beef with it was more that it was just a blatant cross-marketing thing. Even having Damian Priest shoot an arrow at the horizontal Tron on the ceiling and have it show up with the name of the movie, that's what we were bitching about.
Right.
Was that it was just so crassly, obviously, capitalistically opportunistic. And that has no place, I don't think, in wrestling. Not if you can't have a story and then also have, like, you know, brought to you by McDonald's at the end. You know, that drives me nuts. But I don't mind zombies. And so the fact that they kept the story consistent with Morrison being like, yeah, I escaped, but I haven't heard from the Miz. I don't know what happened to him. And even the commentators, like Corey's like, I tried texting him. He's not texting back. I don't know what happened to Miz.
Love it.
Like, okay, cool.
Steer into the kayfabe. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's kind of fortunate that Miz got injured. I mean, it's not never fortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not it's horrible. I feel bad for the guy.
I almost wonder if he kind of gave a little, if he let him know at the end of the match, hey, I just blew my knee out. Have the zombies come in the ring and eat me.
No, that's way too, no.
No?
I don't think so. That's way too much to have to communicate and then have them do it so perfectly choreographed. No, there's no way. I think that was the planned finish, but kind of like AJ again, kind of like AJ getting buried alive in the Boneyard match. They were just cool with Miz just showing back up and be like, oh yeah, it was fine. It's all the movies, kids. And that would have pissed us all off even more.
Yep. Andy Jessup threw in 100 bits, said, isn't Bray on personal leave to get his head straight as he's not coping with Brody Lee's passing well? That's first I've heard of that.
That's first I've heard of that. Well, it's not the first I've heard of it, but I have not heard that confirmed. There's a lot of speculation as to where he is. Yep. That was a rumor that I've heard. I have not heard that confirmed at all.
Yep.
So
thank you, Andy. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said a zombie bit a chunk out of Miz's leg. That's my head canon. Something else Maurice can torture Miz with sexy outfits with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether or not Miz was able to cauterize the wound in time and, save the leg or not, we're not sure. And also we're not sure what kind of zombies these were. Were these rage virus zombies? Were these virus zombies? Or were they like Return of the Living Dead where like them biting you isn't necessarily going to infect you and kill you? You actually have to die and actually get covered in the toxic acid rain to become a zombie. That's the question, is what kind of zombies were these? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't. So it's quite possible Miz could still be alive somewhere, rehabbing his leg that the zombie took a chunk out of. Yeah, so Kyle, right there with you.
Thank you, Kyle.
That's my head. Well, so here we go. Damian Priest ends up beating Morrison. Fun little match.
Superplex off the top turnbuckle out to the outside into the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, ouch. That was
Damn.
scary. That was scary.
And I think they misjudged just how tall Damian Priest is because Morrison went past them.
Yeah, he almost, man.
He landed flat on his ass.
Eric saved Miz's back.
The other thing I wanted to call out here, Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross and Damian Priest had a moment ringside. All the Lumberjacks were all over by the ramp. Nikki Cross was kind of on the hard cam side by herself, and Damian Priest came over to the ropes, and they specifically had us look at Nikki Cross being down there, and I went, huh.
You think Caden Carter's down in NXT going, I'm going to kill that bitch.
Huh.
Get away from my man. Get away from my man. I'll cut you.
There was a moment there. It may
there
be
was
a
also
fleeting star-crossed thing.
Here's one for you, though, Nick, is that Nikki Cross also had a moment with the Viking Raiders, who were also ringside, where they all kind of high-fived each other, and I kind of went, Nikki Viking Raider?
Nikki Cross is a Viking? Yes.
I'm just saying.
In.
Yeah. But what about those Lumberjacks? We had the Viking Raiders, Titus O'Neil, poor Mustafa Ali, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else but there.
So can I just go back to main event and keep fighting Ricochet? It's more fun.
Yeah. Mansoor, who just debuted a couple weeks ago, is
guy.
already a Lumberjack. T-Bar and Mace, who showed back up for a promo earlier, were like, yeah, we might be going for Bobby Lashley. And then next thing you know, they're freaking Lumberjacks. And you're like, aw, you poor losers. Oh, God. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, who got into a scuffle ringside during this match and ended up getting into some scuffling backstage as well when Shelton said he might go for Bobby Lashley's title. And Lucha House Party was there. Akira Tozawa, newly minted 24/7 champion after rolling up R-Truth backstage. He was there. And as you said, Nick, Nikki Cross, the only woman there ringside who has been working on her arms. Her arms are getting gun-like. She gets some good beef in those arms. Dug it. What did you think on the Lumberjacks? Thoughts? I mean, we kind of indicated as we were saying their names what we thought of it. But
yeah, poor Mansoor. He had a huge spot 3 weeks ago, where he was signing his contract and all that, made a big deal out of it and all that stuff. I was like, okay, this is slick, or is this just set up for the next Saudi Arabia thing that is inevitably going to come at some point? Remember, they signed that 10-year deal, guys, for like $50 billion or whatever it is, $50 million. I can't remember what it was. 3 years ago, I think they signed that, and we haven't been back for a minute. So I'm wondering if they're going to sneak in a Saudi Arabia event later this year. It's going to be interesting.
Maybe,
to see.
but if so, I mean, it doesn't matter. He was good. He was doing those events even when he was in NXT. So
I understand. I'm wondering if there was something there.
Mansoor.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time on the job squad.
Yep. I hear they got good cold cuts in catering.
I've heard their catering is very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep.
But yeah, at least Damian Priest is moving on now from the Morrison feud. At least that's what he said after winning the match. So fingers crossed, Nick, that he moves on to somewhere else. Where that would be, we don't yet know, Sheamus. AJ Styles had a match with Elias. It was not a distraction finish. It was a DQ finish. Jackson Riker getting involved and costing his buddy Elias the match. Omos then chasing off Jackson Riker. That was it. That was the match. Last week they were teaming up. Now they're facing each other. Are AJ Styles and Omos faces, Nick? Are they heels? What backstage? Apparently, the scuttlebutt is they're considered heels, but what's going on here? Why are they being used in this way?
I have nothing to indicate to me that they are not heels. They very much seem like they are.
This match.
I understand that. Why did they have a match with Elias and Jackson Riker?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the future of the tag team championships? It's a weird division right now. You've got the Viking Raiders. You've got Omos and AJ. You've got Elias and Jackson Riker. You've got the New Day. Technically, you've got Mace and T-Bar. That's not a lot of face teams. New Day is what the guys they got the title off. Well, you get Lucha House Party, excuse me. So you've got Lucha House Party.
They're doing these dark, brooding promos backstage now.
Yeah, but they're dark, brooding face promos.
Right.
Yeah, we're awesome. We're Lucha House Party. Hey, as long as they're using Lucha Lit, they're faces as far as I'm concerned. Come on now.
Hey, I want to call something out. Jay Wolf just called me out for something. He said, does Ian want to rethink his theory? I think this was my theory. Mansoor losing his streak meant that they had plans for him. Was that yours? I was upset that they killed his streak and they didn't do anything with it.
What I said was that if they're going to take away his streak, don't do it in a way that harms him too much. Because if you do have plans for him in the future, that would kill him dead to just have it just be a beating 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Raw. Then you're definitely in the job squad. Now they
just
have it
skipped
open.
that.
But the thing is that by not straight up having him lose his streak, he didn't get pinned to lose his streak. It was a DQ finish. You still have some wiggle room with how you present him. Right. So if they do bring him back to have a big spot, he never got pinned. He's never been pinned. You can still say that about him. So he doesn't have a streak, but he's never been pinned. So you have your cake and you eat it too. You keep him somewhat protected if you ever decide to use him, which they may not. It's WWE. So in a way, I felt like they got the best of both worlds by having the finish the way that they did. They took that big thing off of him. The big streak, which everyone gets obsessed with streaks, but you can still bring up an aspect of the streak if you need to. Yeah. So no, I don't want to rethink it. I still think that they may yet have some plans for Mansoor. Those plans, however, maybe, as you say, Nick, just we'll truck him out every once in a while when we're in Saudi Arabia, and we can still say over there he's never been pinned, and so it's still a big deal, while not having it be a big deal when he's on an average Raw, because you're not going around being like, that guy's got a streak. So, yeah.
Kyle throwing 100 bits says, is it too much to ask for more time to be given to Gulak and Garza over an Elias match, who not even AJ Styles can get more than a 2-star match out of? It's a fair point.
It's a fair point, but unfortunately, there's not a whole lot going on with the Angel Garza and Drew Gulak feud. It's basically just Drew Gulak coming out, getting some offense in, Angel Garza then whooping his ass and shoving a rose into some orifice on his body. Before it was his butt, now it's his mouth. On this week's Raw. I don't
stay away from the pee hole. That will not be cool.
That's next. That
will not be cool.
That Mapplethorpe action, get the stem right down the urethra.
That will be extremely uncomfortable.
Now, the question is if the rose is, standing up or down. Anyway, the bottom line is that
did he remove
Angel
the
Garza,
thorns first?
Well, I mean, how else are you going to make it stay in there?
That's right. Well, he does need like some barbs. Like catheters usually have like a barb kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
just kind of make it stay. Otherwise, it's going to fall right back out. And then what's the point of that? That aside, Sheamus also had another open challenge. This time it wasn't an open challenge really, because he had an open challenge at the pay-per-view. And that's kind of continued this week because Ricochet, that little scamp, Ricochet stole his coat and hat backstage, and Sheamus wasn't having it. Who stole me coat and hat? Get out here and get your ass whooping.
Is it possible that Sheamus is getting more Irish?
More Irish.
Is he just hamming it up?
And the same conversation that I had with JB about the women being trophies earlier on the show, she also mentioned she could not understand Sheamus this week. So I need a subtitle for Sheamus. I'm like, you're the one that's met him. Is this how he talks normally? And she told me that, no, he's usually more clear than this. So, Nick, there may be something to Sheamus getting more Irish with this gimmick
Maybe
these
he
days.
just stopped trying and he's just retracted back to Dublin. And because I've been to Dublin a couple of times, and there are certain situations where it's nearly impossible. Even they are speaking English, but it's like the north of England. Like what?
Between the bruiser coat and the pork pie hat or whatever that is, and him talking about them coming for me gold. Like he doesn't seem to be getting a little bit more. Hey, I don't care. I love his gimmick right now. I love that he's now become the big angry U.S. champ. I love that Ricochet was basically like the little kind of,
he was the roadrunner,
the mouse that roared, that was coming out to be like, Sheamus comes running at him as Ricochet comes out in his coat.
Let me at him.
I got you. I'm gonna take him on. And he dropped toe hold Sheamus on the ramp. He's got one up on Sheamus. Sheamus comes down, and it's a match about Sheamus trying to beat up Ricochet, and Ricochet having enough moxie to stand in the ring and toe-to-toe Sheamus on a few, and like even power out of a few things, throw some big hits on Sheamus. Sheamus went for the Dublin Smile again. Ricochet powers out of it and beats him into the ground. So Ricochet, I thought, looked great in this match. Yes, ultimately, Sheamus gave him a knee, which was what beat Ricochet on Sunday, but Ricochet kicked out of it at like he kicked out at 3. Let's be clear. The ref's hand hit the mat on 3. But Ricochet got the shoulder up so late, the ref's like, no, he did get it up in time. I just couldn't stop myself. That's how late that kick out was.
Jesus.
It was awesome. And then Ricochet basically kind of wobbly gets to his feet, and Sheamus gives him a brogue kick and gives him that, come on, I got nothing left, but you got to give me one more. and finally gets taken out by a bro kick. Great finish, great match, awesome. Probably the best match on Raw, I thought.
The backstage segment with him with the coat and hat, where he goes, "I don't know what Sheamus is talking about. I ninja threw it right back at him at the end of the match after it was over. Oh, like, no, okay. Wait, there was this morning in the locker. Yeah, hang on one second. Comes back. Yes!
Comes back in it. He's like, he's coming out, do a little jig, and then dabs on him. It's fun. It was Ricochet showing some character.
He just is a big man and a little man in a big coat. It looks ridiculous, and I love it.
It's the other way around. It'd be like David Spade wearing Chris Farley's coat.
Yeah, like Tom Hanks in Big, and can't fit in his suit anymore.
Oh my God. I love this match. I love what they're doing, Ricochet and Sheamus. I hope it continues. I have a fear that this might have been it because Ricochet was just taking Humberto Carrillo's place for a couple of weeks to just finish out that feud, give Sheamus a couple of big wins, make him look good, and then before he moves on to someone who actually could be a threat like Damian Priest. I'm hoping this isn't it, though. I'm hoping this is not the end of it. I'm hoping there's more because this match made me feel like it might be a way to make Ricochet look good because it did make him look good. But it also was a way to make Sheamus look strong.
And they got a super Spanish fly off the top turnbuckle that did not land cleanly.
No, I couldn't tell if Sheamus was selling or not on that knee. It looked a bit ugly. But Sheamus doing a goddamn Spanish fly alone is news.
That's a big boy.
Right. Yeah.
Goodness.
That's pretty crazy. Let's see. A couple more things here. We mentioned Tozawa getting the 24/7 championship from R-Truth. Yeah, at this point, Nick, it's dead.
Yeah, it's done.
The creatively has completely gone.
It's more done than Raw Underground at this point for me.
Oh, but at least it's still on TV, unlike Raw Underground. And just quickly, want to touch on Mace and T-Bar real quickly. As we said, they did have a little bit of a backstage promo. Mace dropped a Castlevania reference. It's a terrible night to be Bobby Lashley. Castlevania 2 reference. Nicely done, Mace. Now, I don't know what the hell they're doing with anything else of their gimmick. Apparently, they're flipping coins now to see.
Nobody called it, and we didn't see what landed.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
Neither of them really looked at the coin. Yeah. Dijak did for a second. Excuse me, T-Bar. Did for a second. And
Dijak!
Right. Please get this paint off of them. Please let them be the big men that they are. Please let them wrestle like wrestlers.
I don't care.
Stop trying to make them comic book heroes or villains.
Or whatever the hell they are. The new Bludgeon Brothers. At least the Bludgeon Brothers had some cool videos to introduce them. At least Bludgeon Brothers, they let go out there and smash people. You know? This is horrific.
This sucks. It's just plain sucks. It sucks for Dijak. It sucks for Dio Madden. You know, this is his third go at the well, I believe, between NXT, Raw commentary, and now Retribution. Like, he's 0 for 3.
It is not going well. It's not going the right direction at all. It is dribbling down the inside of the leg that is Raw. But it is. So yeah, I hope they get to fix this. It's not unfixable, but hopefully they fix it soon because it is bad. And then they turn around and become the lumberjacks. So
right.
But there's a lot of good stuff on this Raw this week. I gotta say, like it was a solid B- Raw, which, given how Raws have been lately, is really
five distraction finishes aside.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, it was a solid 2.9 grade point average. Yeah. So it's considering they've been down the C's and D's lately, it was a bit of a relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick, I gotta say, any last things about Raw here, or do you have anything more to say? Any more thoughts?
No, not really.
I'd let you finish, but I got to distract you real quickly because that seems to be the theme of the show. Nick, it's time to go over and do a segment we like to call our moment of positivity. The moment of positivity. That's right. It's the time on the show we think back over the last few days of wrestling and try to find something positive to say, something that'll lead us out of the show with some happy feelings, some warmth in our hearts, some smiles on our faces, something we can give it to all of you so we're not going back out in the world with some negativity. We're going back out with some positivity. Nick, what was your moment of positivity?
It's got to be Ricochet trying to do an Irish accent.
Oh, God, that was positive. It was cute.
It was one of the worst Irish attempts I've ever heard, Irish accent attempts I've ever heard. But it made it even funnier.
Right. At least he sharpened his THs. He made those sharp. I appreciated that.
What did he do? Did he do a quick study session with Sheamus backstage? Like, how do I say this?
No, he watched a couple of Lucky Charm commercials and was like, no problem. I can pull this off.
The real one for me is the tension that is very palpable between Rhea and Charlotte backstage in that segment after all the ladies were excused, and Rhea stepping in looking like a bigger than Charlotte size-wise, confident champ, belt up on her shoulder, smiling, kind of snidely just snarling at her. I love this Rhea. I think it's fantastic. She doesn't look like, she looks better. She has evolved from over a year ago, from when she had that match at WrestleMania, in big ways. So I like where Rhea's at right now. I feel like there's more they could do with her. You strapped her. Let her come out and open some shows. Let her come out and tell people who she is. She's the champ. People that have never watched NXT don't know anything about her.
Right. Define her a bit.
Yeah.
Let her be something. Let her have a character.
When her and Charlotte are mere inches away from each other, I can feel that out of the TV. Mm-hmm. And that's chemistry.
They got chemistry.
That's tension. Yeah. That is going to translate into the ring, and it's going to make for some amazing matches throughout the year this year. Because those two are definitely on a collision course.
Totally.
How about you, Sir Ian Dangerous? What was your moment of positivity?
Well, I'm not going to cheat and not even cheating, but I'm not going to take the easy way out and do something from Backlash because we could easily say like that pay-per-view was way better than it should have been with one glaring exception. It was way better than it should have been.
Three matches that could have main evented any pay-per-view.
Yeah, 3 fantastic matches and a couple more decent ones. I could say that, but I just did. But I'm actually not going to pick that as my moment of positivity. I'm actually going to say it was whether it was from hot-shotting it last minute, whether it was from planning, the freshness of the title scene on Raw last night. There was a lot of surprises on Raw last night, and I liked that. There was a lot of stuff that was retreads, but there was also a lot of things that I didn't see coming, even in those retreads. The stuff that's going on with Randy Orton, Riddle, and the New Day is interesting and fresh. Having Kofi challenge Lashley, that was fresh. Having Lashley do an open challenge the way that he did was pretty fresh, and it made for some interesting moments in the show. Even the stuff that was a blatant, just complete repeat. We had a freaking rematch, virtually, Damian Priest versus someone in a lumberjack match from Sunday. And yet it did feel fresh because it was actual real lumberjacks, not zombies. And it was Morrison and not Miz. And it was also, thank God, the blow-off of the whole thing. Supposedly, it seems that way. So I love the fact, I'm going to say Raw felt fresher than it has.
Yeah.
And I thank God. It's a relief. I appreciate that. It is my moment of positivity.
Indeed. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. We are still going to do the patron mailbag after we take a quick 10-minute break after the outro here, get things sorted out, grab a drink, take a quick bio break, whatever you need to do. But we're going to come back and do the patron mailbag. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our weekly AMA show. If you guys aren't familiar, we do this. We also I put up a post in YouTube for our new members as well. So don't forget, YouTube members, make sure to go into the community tab on our channel, and you'll find the post for AMA patron mailbag questions. And you can put yours in right there, and we'll read those out as well. We did get a handful of questions. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We'll come back after that. What do we say? Let's call it 20 after.
6:20, yeah.
It'll call us, take us a couple minutes to get out of here.
20 past the hour.
Linktree.com/BWO. First of all, thank you guys all for showing up for WrestleMania Backlash. Really big. We appreciate that. Thanks for hanging in the Discord. Thanks for coming to the recap show afterwards. And we enjoyed having you guys for Raw last night. So if you're not in the Discord, make sure you get in over there. I'm going to throw in a link to it in the chat right now so that you can jump in there and make sure you're in there already. If you'd like to support the show, thank you guys for all the bits and subs here on Twitch.
Seriously,
you can throw in your super chats and memberships over on YouTube, and we'll call all those out here on the show live on the air. Or you can head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those reward tiers over there to get access to show notes, those patron mailbag questions. Let's see, what else do we have over there? Audio versions of every single show, if you'd like that. And then at the $10 tier, you get bonus episodes every single month. And YouTube memberships, same exact thing at the $10 tier as you get on Patreon. So you can choose which one you prefer. Those are the best ways to support the show if you guys are, in case you were curious. Hey, how do we help Nick and Ian continue to do Busted Wide Open? There you go. There's the ways to do it. Ooh, yeah. Guys, we'll be back at 20 after for the patron mailbag. But until then, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But my God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.